In this video we will show you how thousands of Sage users are using PaperLess to automatically match the amount on the invoices with the amount on the corresponding purchase order in Sage. PaperLess automatically closes off the PO, posts the transaction and attaches the invoices to Sage when PO and invoice amounts match. This is a very simple and quick process. If we take a look at Sage, you will see that we have these purchase orders here. The goods have been received but they haven't been invoiced yet. If we now go into PaperLess and bring in some invoices, all we need to do is to apply the journal type and run PaperLess automatic invoice recognition. The system is now reading all relevant accounting data from the invoices, and if there is a PO number on the invoice, PaperLess will go into Sage and check if for this supplier there is a PO with this number and that PO is ready to be invoiced. If there is, the PO number will be populated in PaperLess in the accounting lines together with all other accounting data retrieved by PaperLess invoice recognition. In this example, we are happy with everything, and since we have a PO, we are not sending these invoices for approval, so all we need to do is to select the option Post to Sage. PaperLess is now checking if the invoice amount matches the amount of the purchase order in Sage, and in this case it matched, so the invoice has been posted. If we go into Sage and if we refresh the PO list, you can see several POs have been automatically closed off by PaperLess. If we then go to the suppliers view and open the supplier record, on the activity tab you see that the transactions have been posted. If we want to retrieve the invoice, all we need to do is a live lookup directly from within Sage, and you have immediate access to the invoice directly from the corresponding Sage accounting line. The main goal of PaperLess is to speed up invoice processing routines by having all data automatically captured, have invoice amount and PO amount automatically matched, and if there is a match, PaperLess will automatically close off the PO, post the transaction and attach the invoice to the corresponding transaction. Afterwards, when you need to retrieve the invoices, you can do so directly from within your Sage accounting package. If we now go back into PaperLess and refresh our inbox view, as you can see, this invoice was not posted because, as we can read on the document comment, the invoice amount does not match the amount on the purchase order. The PO originator would now either need to correct the PO or directly from within PaperLess send an email to the supplier with the invoice attached, requesting a correction of the invoice. Another scenario that is quite common is that there might be several deliveries for one purchase order. In the case of Grab It and Run, we have two separate deliveries for one PO, so you will receive two separate invoices. In this case, all you need to do is select which delivery this invoice corresponds to. Select the GRN and post to Sage. PaperLess will now check if the invoice amount matches the amount of that delivery. By going into Sage, we can see that in this case it matched, so the PO has been partially closed, and if you open your supplier, Grab It and Run, you can see that PaperLess automatically posted the transaction and attached the invoice to it. Now, we have one last invoice, so let's choose the other delivery, click Post to Sage, and PaperLess once again checking if the invoice amount matches the amount of this particular delivery. If we now go to the purchase orders in Sage and we refresh the list, you can see that Grab It and Run PO has now been fully closed. On supplier, Grab It and Run, you can see that you now have the two transactions posted that correspond to the two invoices that were matched with the POs in Sage. If you want to retrieve the invoice, just do the PaperLess live lookup, and directly from within Sage you have access to the invoice as well as the irrelevant accounting data. PaperLess allows you to automate even further your invoice processing routines and the automatic matching and closing of POs up to the point where, based on the automation rules previously defined, PaperLess receives the invoice your suppliers send via email, automatically captures all relevant accounting data, picks up the PO number, checks if the PO matches with the invoice in Sage, and if it does, it will then close off the purchase order in Sage, post the transaction and attach the invoice to Sage in a fully automatic process without your team having to spend any time on even looking at those invoices. Let's show you how this works. Let's simulate a scenario and send these invoices to what would be your company inbox email address. If we go to PaperLess Company Inbox, Manage Automation Rules, you can see that in Veolia we have set up an automation rule so that everything received from this email address, which in a real case scenario would be Veolia's email address, and if the body of the email contains this keyword, we want PaperLess to automatically move the invoice into PaperLess, run invoice recognition and automatically post the invoice to Sage, but only post if a purchase order number is found on the invoice. What this means is that the invoice that I've just sent will be automatically processed by Company Inbox, and Paperless will check the invoice amount matches the PO amount, and it will only post the invoice into Sage if there is a match. Let's go into Sage. Open Veolia, go to the Activity tab, and since there was a match between invoice and PO amount, the PO has been closed, and the transaction has been posted, and the invoice has also been automatically attached to the transaction. If you want to retrieve it, again, all you need to do is a Paperless Live lookup directly from within Sage to retrieve the invoice. Paperless for Sage allows you to automate invoice processing routines up to the point where suppliers send invoices via email, Paperless Company Inbox receives them, automatically captures the data, and picks up the PO number. If there is a match between the invoice and PO amount, Paperless automatically closes off the PO, posts the transaction, attaches the invoices to Sage, and sends you an email notification informing you of what was posted. This means that if 60 or 70% of your invoices match the purchase order, your accounts team will only need to work on the 30 or 40% of the invoices that for some reason do not match or do not have a purchase order in Sage. Thank you for watching this short video on paperless automatic matching and closing of purchase orders in Sage. Join thousands of Sage users across the UK and Ireland and contact us to schedule an online demo with a member of our team so that they can show you all the automation features paperless document management software for Sage has to offer. You can do so by visiting www.paperlesseurope.com.